So what I wanted to talk to you about, some of you may already know this and some of you may not, but there is just your basic color theory of opposites, secondaries, and tertiary colors, and where you just have three primaries, yellow, red, and blue. And then you have secondary colors, green and purple and orange. Um, you have your adjacent sequences, you have what's called complementary colors, and those are the colors that sit opposite each other of the color wheel. And there are ways that you can manipulate color when you're painting to either tone something down or bring it up, make it brighter. You can also use adjacent colors to make things appear brighter or not as bright. So there's a lot going on there. And when people talk about the color wheel, this is usually what they're talking about. And when they are talking about primaries, they're usually just talking about these three and how you can mix them to get your secondaries and all sorts of fun stuff. And this is how I started out too, learning this. This color wheel is what my palette that I carry with me in the field is based on, the three primaries and then a black. So that's what I take with me. But there is a better way. This is a good way, but it misses things. It doesn't talk about value. It doesn't talk about color intensity. It doesn't talk, it basically just talks about one thing, color, and how to mix it. So what I propose is I'm going to teach you what's called the Munsell system of color. Now, Munsell developed this as a way to create scientific notation to kind of make color uniform, and the purpose was for industry, so that paint that is used in manufacturing can be consistent. This is like once I got a handle on this, it's a very complicated system, and I'm still uncovering things about it. But what I'm going to teach you is really, as an artist or a nature journaler, I think if you nature journal, we're all artists, we're humans. Humans are artists. Um, I'm just going to teach you what you need to know about Munsell to be able to be in control of how you use your colors. So this is actually my personal full palette. And the thing about Munsell is he has 5 primaries. So I'm going to bring this wheel back. So according to Munsell, I'm going to make sure you guys can see both of these. Red, blue, and yellow are primaries, but so are green and purple. So he has 5 primaries going. And I actually like that as an idea. Now, a full Munsell wheel, if you go look it up online, then has a myriad of tiny little slivers that, as you go towards yellow, your red starts to warm up, warm up, warm up. So it's like a red yellow, and then it changes over to a orange yellow, and then an orange, and then a yellow orange, and then so it has many degrees in between his primaries, which are all of these. And I find it a more precise system, and I'll explain to you in a minute why. Because you just have so many ways to push your colors and become more accurate. And again, I'll show you in a minute why. So also, in addition to color, or what he calls hue, hue and color are the same thing. He's also addressing chroma, which we're going to call intensity during these couple hours. And so what that means is how bright and or how dull is a color. So as you can see on my palette, so like I said, this is my studio palette. What I've done here, and this is the way he lays out his wheel as well, but again, he'll have the different grades in between. So I laid out my personal palette, which you see over here, in his two-dimensional wheel, and I'm going to put a pin in that because I have to come back to that in a minute. Two-dimension is his wheel for our purposes right now. So intensity and dullness. So let's take yellow. So the brightest yellow that I have on my palette is Hansa Yellow Medium. And then the second brightest yellow I have is Quinacridone Gold. And then the dullest yellow I have is Raw Sienna. Duller than Raw Sienna would be yellow ochre, but I don't keep that on my palette. In the case of green, the brightest green I have is a sap green. Well, this is my sap green actually. The brightest green I have is a sap green. And this would be his primary. It's kind of like a middle of the road green. And then the next brightest green, or what I would say is a duller green, but still within that range of sap green, is my personal mix of undersea green. So, so the way he works, the way he thinks of color, it's not just your primaries, your secondaries, your tertiaries, complements, adjacent colors, and all of that. It's also the brightness to the dullness. And as you move closer in towards the center of the circle, these wheels all have black at the center. The color gets duller, duller, duller. Now this color is my most yellow of greens. And I have a duller color that is, again, it's one of my personal mixes. So I honestly could not tell you what this was. But I'm using kind of a duller blue and a duller yellow to do this. And then my absolute dullest yellowy green is, again, a personal mix, but it's kind of like a raw umber type of a brown, but it leans green. So that would be my dullest green. So that's the other thing he talks about, chroma, or what we will call intensity, for the next couple hours. And then in addition to that, he talks about value. That is basically how dark something is to how light something is. And I don't reflect that on this wheel. And this is why I wanted to put a pin in the 2D wheel I have here. Because if you go and research Munsell, the wheel that he has come up with is in 3 dimensions. So the colors live in intensity, from the outermost being the most intense to the inner being the least intense, and then along a core of a core of dark to light. So he's got so it looks kind of, let me show you. So he's got like a cylinder sitting here. And then around that, he's got an ellipse. And so there are many ellipses that just come down, come down. And then each pie shape of the ellipse that heads towards the center, it starts out, I'm just going to put that for brightness, to dullness as you get closer to this value scale, with this being the darkest and this being the lightest, and then everything in between. And then as you go up and down, that's where you have your value, then your hue is usually on the outside, and then chroma works back and forth in these kind of this spiral thing that wraps around. So it's wild. But for our